Hey guys, so I just wanted to do a new kind of series. This is going to be along, kind of alongside my stitch and chats. It's going to combine two things that I really love. I find a great interest in true crime, and I also love cross stitching. So I figured I would take some time and talk about them both together here. And I know that there's a lot of us in the cross stitch lost tube community that are murderinos, and so I just wanted to kind of, I guess, bring some light into that world. So I bought a new pattern, and that's what I'm working on here as well, uh, to kind of commemorate this journey. I didn't want to be talking and mess up my big one while I'm working on this, but this one, once I fully finish, will go into a giveaway to somebody, at my, we'll say at the 100 subscriber mark or something if I ever get there. So I guess I got really into true crime when I was little with my mom. I would watch Unsolved Mysteries with her, which, two, three, four, one, two, three, four, okay, which, I mean, which of us didn't watch Unsolved Mysteries, but I also would watch, Cops and America's Most Wanted with her. So those are the things that really got me wanting to help people. And right around, let's see, around 2001, I would have been 10 years old maybe, is when I started deciding that I really wanted to help people. And a little bit of it was because of the case that I'm going to talk about today, but part of it was also because of just kind of that experience with my mom watching those shows. So I guess we'll kind of start right out. I wanted to talk about the Andrea Yates case. So Andrea Yates was born Andrea Kennedy on July 2nd, 1964 in Hallsville, Texas. Her and Rusty Yates married in 1993, and they proceeded, I think they had 5 kids. So they had Noah, John, Paul, Luke, and Mary, their little baby. So they had all of the kids, you know. Um, she she kind of I guess kind of the biggest thing that draws me to this case is that she had some postpartum mental issues, which are a super real thing, but because of the way sometimes women get treated, in the medical community, and I'm not trying to cause any controversy or anything, but sometimes because of how women get treated in the United States with their, you know, uh, with the medical field, those problems go unnoticed or ignored, or people think we're faking it or whatever. And so she had postpartum psychosis and depression. And I experienced postpartum depression with my son. And I can tell you it's a very real thing. It's scary because you don't have control over those thoughts and you really don't know what's going on. Um, and that, but I'll kind of get into her early life. And for my resources on this, I'm using kind of Wikipedia to kind of clue me in on some stuff I may not know about her or the case. Um, but she ultimately drowned. I don't know if you guys don't know this case. What happened was, well, we'll get into it. I'll talk about all of it, and eventually, I just gave myself a big loop in the back of this. Oh no! Oh well. Okay. So we'll kind of go right in. So Andrea was born in Hallsville, like I said, and she was the youngest of 5. Her mom was a German immigrant, and her dad came from Irish immigrants. When she was a teenager, she had bulimia and depression, And when she was like 17, she had talked to a friend about wanting to commit suicide. She graduated in 1982, and she was valedictorian and captain of her swim team, and she was in the National Honor Society, which, I mean, she had good grades. She was smart. She was a nurse, so she completed a pre-nursing degree at the University of Houston, and then she graduated from the University of Texas Health Science Center. And she worked until 1994 as a registered nurse at the University of Texas Cancer Center. According to Wikipedia, she met Rusty in the summer of '89, and they moved in together, and they got married in 1993, like I said. So, I mean, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Sometimes, you meet the right person at the right time, and obviously from those dates, the year after they got married, she stopped working. They told their family that they would seek to have as many children as nature allowed them, and they purchased a 4-bedroom home in Friendswood, Texas. And so they were very excited to, get married and start a family, etc. So their first son, Noah, was born in February 1994, and they relocated to a small trailer in Florida because Rusty had just accepted a job offer there. And then by the time Paul, their third child, was born, they had moved back to Houston and had purchased a GMC motorhome. And then reports say that following the fourth child that they had, Luke, is when Andrea became depressed. So Luke was born, when did it say? I can't remember. But this is when she got depression. And Rusty found her one day in like June 99. She was like shaking and she was chewing her fingers. And the following day, she tried to commit suicide by overdose. She was admitted to the hospital and she was prescribed antidepressants at that time. And soon after, she had some like mental problems where she would like beg Rusty to let her die. And she would like hold a knife to her neck during these conversations, which really scared him. She was hospitalized again, and she was given a bunch of medications. She was given an antipsychotic, antidepressants. Her condition improved, but she was also prescribed a pretty strong antipsychotic on her release. Rusty then moved the entire family out into a small house just to kind of help out with Andrea's health and overall well-being. And it seemed like after that, Andrea was stable. It seemed like she was, doing okay. In July 1999, though, she had a big nervous breakdown, and she had 2 suicide attempts and 2 psychiatric hospitalizations that summer. She was then diagnosed with what's called postpartum psychosis. The first psychiatrist that she saw urged them to not have any more children. It would, she said it would pretty much guarantee that something bad was going to happen. Right after it was like, I think it says about like 7 weeks after she got discharged from her second hospital stay is when they conceived their final child, Mary. She stopped taking her antipsychotic, and she had Mary on November 30th, 2000. She seemed to be doing well until her dad died the next March of 2001. She stopped taking all of her medication. She would cut herself, and she just started digging into the Bible. She stopped feeding the baby, and she became so just out of it that she had to be hospitalized immediately. She was treated and released, and in May she kind of went back into like almost a coma state. She filled the bathtub in the middle of the day, and she had planned to drown the children that day, and decided against doing it. She was hospitalized the following day, and the psychiatrist decided that she was probably just suicidal and thought that she was gonna just drown herself. But, like, why wouldn't you like, why, I don't know. Why wouldn't she just say that she was gonna drown the children? Because she she just straight up admitted it. She called the police on herself. 2, 3. So they were living, at this time, they were living in Clear Lake City, which is a suburb of Houston. She continued under her psychiatrist's care until June 20th, 2001. Rusty left for work and left Andrea alone with all 5 kids. But the doctor's instructions were that she needed constant supervision and that she should not be left alone at any time. His mom, or Andrea's mother-in-law, Dora, was supposed to be getting there about an hour later to take over for Rusty, so that way, or to take over for Andrea so she wasn't overwhelmed with the children. But that was like the earliest she could get there. Ooh, imagine feeling like the guilt that comes along with that. Like, that poor woman probably needed to see her therapist shortly after. Anyway, so within the hour is when this crime took place, and she proceeded to drown all 5 children. She started out with John, Paul, Luke, and then as she drowned the children, and she would lay them down in her bed. She drowned Mary and left Mary kind of floating in the bathtub. Noah came into the bathroom and asked what was wrong with Mary. He ran away from his mom, and she caught and then drowned him last. She left him floating in the bathtub and put Mary in John's arms in the bed. And then she called the police on herself. And I don't know if you listen to this 911 call, she just sounds really out of it. She keeps asking for an officer, and they wouldn't say, like, she wouldn't say why. She called Rusty, and she said, "You need to come home right away." I just knocked into this. But he got there, and I will never forget the news coverage of this. And I was probably, 2001, I was 10, so I was probably too young to be watching this on the news. But, like, I remember seeing Rusty when he got there, and he just kind of collapsed in their yard. Like, he was so just devastated that something had happened. Obviously Andrea confessed. She waited for Rusty to leave because she knew that he would have stopped it, but she legit thought that this was the only way she could save her children's souls and that they would go to heaven. She had locked the dog away to prevent him from getting between her and the kids. Her defense was that she was insane. The jury then rejected that, and they found her guilty. The prosecutors had looked for the death penalty, but the jury refused it. They sentenced her to life in prison inside the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. She's in, like, from what I've heard now, she's in, like, a mental hospital currently. They kind of, I'm trying to think of, she was found not guilty. Did she got a retrial? I don't know. Trying to read through this quickly because I honestly didn't read through it before. But I know she's in a mental hospital now, and her and Rusty are since divorced. Rusty also has another child with his second wife, who also has divorced him, and I don't really know where he's at now. But this will be 20 years next year. That is the anniversary of this, and I don't know if somebody's going to try and get an interview with Andrea or what, but this case blew up, and I remember being so young and just thinking, like, how could a mom do that? But she was delusional. She had no idea well, she had some idea because she called the police on herself, but she, like, it was a mess. So, anyway, that's this case kind of in a nutshell. This is where we're at on this little pattern. So, I'll have inserted some clips of me stitching kind of intermittently in this, but this is what this looks like so far. So, yeah, keep an eye out. I'll keep going and kind of do some updates on it as it comes along, but that's where it's at for now. So I just hope you guys have a wonderful night, and we will talk soon. Bye-bye.